Okay, last question.
Go on.
If we could conquer time travel,
Right.
Let's just take that assumption for the minute.
and you could write yourself a note,
Okay.
knowing what you know now, what do you think you would write to yourself?
I think for me, it would be just trust. Just trust in being yourself wholeheartedly. And that sounds quite simple, doesn't it? But I think often I know for me growing up, it was all about seeking that recognition and external validation. And now it's about self-acceptance.
Yeah.
So if I could tell my younger self one thing, it would be just trust in the process, but trust in yourself and be yourself wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
Because we're all different, and that's the beauty of life. But it's about being true to yourself. And I think sometimes I haven't necessarily done that. And now, having stepped into that version of myself, it just feels so much more powerful and so much more, I'm just able to enjoy life more.
Yeah. I think that's brilliant.
Just continue to strive and continue being yourself, even if you are an outlier, even if you are an outsider. Stay true to your core values and everything works out.
Love it.
So for me, the quote that I would leave myself is trust yourself to be yourself. And that was said to me by a very dear friend and colleague, somebody we both know, Mel Greaves.
Right.
And it really resonates. And yeah, that's what I would have liked to say to myself. Trust yourself to be yourself.
Brilliant.
It's a very short message. Just believe in yourself more. If I think back to my time as a kid, I wasn't the most confident of kids. And that's been a thing for me. Is just over my career, I've realised that I'm quite good at what I do. I realised that I've got some definite skills and qualities, and I think I've built that level of confidence. But as a kid, I'd like that younger Ali just to have that confidence a little bit more.
Just go try it.
Absolutely.
That's brilliant.
I'd say believe in yourself more, because that's one thread throughout my life till today, that I don't have enough belief in myself and in what I am capable of.
To be honest, it wouldn't be about a career. It would be about just know that I'm enough. I was always one of the cerebral kids in school. So I was, in hindsight now, if I look back, my nickname was like things like Squarehead and Boxhead, because I always had quite a square head. All fine. I'd never had a problem with all of me and my friends all had stupid nicknames, and we didn't get bothered by any of them. My nickname should have been Friend Zone, because I was always like, I think because I was raised by my mum and my gran, so I always had this really sort of powerful sort of maternal influence.
Yeah.
And so when I was in school, I wasn't very motivated by the teachers. Weren't motivating me.
Okay. Yeah.
Pretty girls in the classroom they were too distracting. So
Right.
so yeah, my advice to my younger self would be just be yourself and know that you're enough.
You're enough.
But most importantly, just be yourself and don't ever try and be something you're not.
Yeah.
So that's what I'd say to my younger self, would just be like, just chill, be yourself and know that
That you are enough.
yeah.
That's
yeah.
brilliant.
And stop cutting your own hair. My mother should have taken me to a bloody hairdresser, and I wouldn't cut my own hair and end up with a mullet, which bizarrely is in fashion and yet still looks hideous.
Some things will just never change.
Be true to yourself. Or, this is me, the lyrics from the Greatest Showman song. Because I think at a younger age, I made a lot of decisions to try and gain approval or please other people. And it's only now, and I don't ever be confident enough to do it when I was younger anyway, but it's only now with a bit of life experience behind me and probably making the right decisions for who I am and my personality and my morals and ethics. So yeah, be true to yourself.
That's brilliant.
I think when I was younger, I had a strong perception that there were right and wrong decisions to be made. and that if I thought hard enough about any given decision, that I could arrive at the correct pathway, or like I could somehow like secure stability or control or predictability, etc., if I made the right decisions, or like I don't know, getting the perfect career by making all of the correct decisions. But I think actually it's a case of nothing is actually right or wrong. And in retrospect, when you look back on all of your decisions, we have this like crazy ability to have everything make sense when we look retrospectively at it. Like every single decision I've made has led me to here, and I wouldn't have wanted it to lead me anywhere else, if that makes sense, because then I would feel differently about certain things, and then it kind of, that's what your sense of self comes from. And I just really feel like having regret as a point of I don't know, attributing regret to life decisions or career decisions, unless it's something like immoral and you've ended up in prison for it. I think just sort of doing away with that, this is right and this is wrong.
So kind of making a decision with no regrets kind of thing.
Because you have made that decision, then it's the right decision. Right. It's flipping the script from I should make this decision because it's right to because I've made this decision, it's right.
It's right. I like that.
Yeah, I think that if I'd sort of, I don't think too much would have changed, because I think I have been quite good at just like going for it anyway and acting out of intuition and a sense of like, I want this. But it would have probably saved me a lot of grief with regards to like, oh no, if I just like studied a bit harder that week, then this would have happened and that would have been more right.
So make the decision, and then once you've made that decision, that's the right decision for you.
Yeah, it's either or.
Brilliant.
One thing I look back on so many times now and go is almost confidence. Have more confidence in yourself. You know, I've kind of worked through most situations, got on with it, but when I've started to watch other people achieve maybe things that I thought, well, I could do that, but I didn't, I'll just go, it's often because my own self-talk or my own sort of mindset would be, oh, well, are you sure? You probably need to know a little bit more about this first before you go and do it. So, you know, if my younger self could just be a bit more confident in my own abilities of what, you know, you're good enough now, you know, so be confident about it and go and give it your best shot. You know, so step into those situations and go and do those things rather than not doing them. And it would probably take, there's lots of situations in my life where I did take the opportunity. Going and working in Brazil was a time when I did that, but I still think there was so many other opportunities and just day-to-day things that happened around me where I would just let it go. You know, I suppose it's like being in a classroom and somebody goes, you know, which kids put their hands up and which kids don't. You know, yeah, I suppose don't put your hand up. Certainly not first. You know, let others go first, and then you come in at some point when it feels like you know what's going on. I just go for it.
Yeah. So your note would be more confident. Yeah. Be the person who puts the hand up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're good. Keep on going.
Love it. That's great. Keep on going.
You're good. Keep on going. Just to let myself know that I'm on the good path.
Love it.
I think I'd probably tell myself that some of the personal challenges that I'd face are surmountable, and that things won't be as bad as I think they'll be in that respect. From a career point of view, I don't think I'd give myself much advice at all. I think I'd probably just say, make sure you just keep challenging yourself, because I know that's what you want to do.
Brilliant.
It's a tricky one because I always believe in sort of no regrets, and it's part of the journey, and what's meant to be is meant to be. You know, if I'm not meant to get a client, or if, you know, you go, well, fair enough, it's not meant to be, sort of thing. There's another part of me that says, actually, I wish in my earlier years I'd probably been a little bit more, you know, we said about the opening the GCSE results. I wish I'd have questioned that a bit more, as in, what, you know, why didn't that work? Because actually, we've not covered this, and we probably, but I found out at 26 I was dyslexic.
Right.
So so you kind of think, well, if I'd have questioned that a bit more, rather than blame myself,
right,
I actually might have found out earlier that I was dyslexic, and then got the tools to help that. However, would that mean that I was the same person now and brought that to me today? No. So I'd probably just say, keep your head down, keep on going, and when you get a setback, just dust yourself off, stand up again, and keep on going.
Brilliant, love it.
Yeah,
that's great.
I would be honest and say it's going to get tough before it gets better. You're going to have hard times, but through those hard times, you are going to grow and learn from all of those hardships and continue to be who you are, true to yourself. You're going to be that Simon that was a kid throughout all of it. And you'll come at the end of it, through the tunnel, having learnt so much about yourself, and you'll be in a strong, positive position than you would ever realise you will be. I think I would just reassure the younger Simon that you will still be who you are later down the line, but it's just going to take some struggles. But through those struggles, you're going to come out on top.
That's lovely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that sentiment as well, the recognition that it isn't actually a linear line and it's all sweetness and roses.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's great.
Yeah.
I think he would just need reassurance that he's gonna get out, and that would be if I could hand a note to anyone in that school or a school like it, it's get out. You're not being nurtured there. Everything you want is being inhibited, and you can't be who you want to be if you're in an environment like that. And that is what is so sad about these institutions that really shouldn't exist anymore.
So it's follow your passion, but also have that belief, and maybe through a support network to be able to step boldly in that direction that you want to go, even without a safety net.
Never give up. Never, ever, ever give up. I think I was probably guilty of that for a while and went through a very challenging period of time in my life. And I came out of it and I'm a completely different person since that. But yeah, you've just got to keep moving forwards. You've got to, there will be bumps in the road. There will be some big bumps in the road, and there might be some huge canyons in the road. But if you just keep moving forwards and find out what you love doing and follow your heart. If you can earn some money in the process, fabulous. But yeah, if you can do what you love. My dear friend Henry, that got me sort of, all fired up about motor racing and cars and everything like that. He said to me, find what you love. If you do what you love for a living, you'll love what you do for a living. And and he was, until he tragically got killed, he was doing what he loved, and that was the reason why I went back into automotive. That's why I got back into engineering, because I enjoyed what I was doing. I wasn't passionate about it. Didn't get out of bed and go, yeah, no, fantastic. What are we? Selling school uniform doesn't mean that you end up at a motor racing circuit with a 1980s Group C Porsche next door to you. That never happened.
Well, I think I would tell myself to work harder at university and at school for a start. I think I probably was rather... But I think a lot of it is... one of the things I've learned most is to try and, enjoy what you do, really. And you can't always do what you enjoy, but if you enjoy what you do... I've always, no matter where I've gone, whether I've been sort of, sent to, sort of northern Finland or, the far reaches of South America or elsewhere, I've always felt that, this is an opportunity and I should make the most of it, really. And, no matter how tired I am, I always, when I landed in a new place, I'd always make the effort to go out to explore the area, to see what's happening. Sometimes gets you into trouble. I think I did walk around a bits of Oakland and just across the bay from San Francisco, and was told, God, you must be mad walking around there. There's more murders here than anywhere else. But I survived, and I found those things very, very enlightening. And so it's really very much live as much as you can and make the most of every opportunity that comes to you, really.
Brilliant.
It's a very interesting question, because later this week I've got a friend visiting who I met when we were 18, when we went to uni. So literally I met her at 18 when we both started our physio training. And it made me think, I went into that degree with a certain expectation and was coming out the other end working in the NHS probably forever. Outpatients, probably outpatients, possibly neuro. And if I'd have thought, I wouldn't have thought that this was possible. I wouldn't have thought it would be possible because it was not on my radar.
Right.
I had never contemplated the possibility of running my own business. I'd never contemplated the possibility of doing something that was out of the kind of channels of professional development, which it kind of is. It's kind of the way we've put together the service. I've created the service is a combination of all those experiences over the years. The 18-year-old me wouldn't have had the confidence to believe it was possible and that I was capable of it. So I think I'd be telling myself that I'm capable of more than I think.
Brilliant.
And that's amazing, and I love it. I do love it now. I've been on the other end with that wisdom.
That's brilliant. Super.
Motorsport-wise, will we do it properly or not at all? The advice I'm giving my children, so my daughter's 17 now, just going to college, and my advice to her is do what you enjoy, because you've got to do that for the rest of your life. So I've had a job, as I mentioned, that I don't want to fly to Detroit to look at spreadsheets. You've got no choice. You're in it. So you look to get yourself out of it. But that's not fun. Well, I think if you enjoy it, you will succeed at it. You can define what succeed is. That's different for different people.
Yeah.
But my advice to them is do what you enjoy, because if you enjoy it, I think you'll get to be rather good at it, because you're going to, aren't you?
That's brilliant.
You won't just do 9 till 5 if you enjoy it. It's not a job. That's what I think, for sure.
As maybe expected as it might sound, I think it's the whole notion of go for it. I think our brains are like, it's crazy how our brains work, but there's so many times that I've had points in my life where I've said, you know what, I want to do this. I have it. I love to do it. But then a day later, I'm like, oh, forget it. It wasn't a good idea. It wasn't the best idea. Or someone said something to me that just kind of, made my idea worthless or whatever. And I think you just need to hold on to whatever passion you have, and whatever's driving you to do something, there's a reason behind it. And I think it is. There's something behind that. The reason why I want to just create stories, there's a reason behind that, because maybe part of it is, by not being able to make it as a racing driver, I'm trying to find an avenue to still be around that circle of just being around that world. Maybe, but there's a reason behind it, and because of that reason behind it, it's your duty to go for it. So by the end of the time that you go for it, you might be able to find the reason behind it. You might be able to know why there was a reason. Oh, this is why I wanted to do this all along. But you're gonna find that out full circle.
Getting to do what you love doing earlier.
Yeah, great answer.
I'd probably say get into motorsport as a career. Get into it early. There are ways to get into it. Social media is coming. But no, I would write to myself, don't think, oh, you've got to have a certain job because that's the accepted thing. If you want to do something, find a way to go and make it happen. I'd probably go to the local kart tracks or to the indoor kart circuits and try and, I don't know, just
make it happen.
Try and get a job, just, I don't know, moving tyres around or something. Get in somehow and get some contacts and try and get into motorsport, rather than just an interest.
10 years ago,
I
would have said what I said earlier, which is jump.
Right.
Put your hand in your pocket and jump.
Right.
Go out there, get the money however you need to get it, and jump to get into motorsport.
10 years. So let's go 15 years ago. What would you have written to yourself?
Jump.
So that's very consistent.
Yeah,
it's
the same all the way through, because I jumped and it happened. That's it.
Right.
It's a great story. It's a long story I won't get into now, but the story's great. We have to talk about that another time.
Yeah.
So how it actually came back round, and it was all very odd. I ended up sitting on the motorway next to one of these race cars, sat on a trailer, and I thought, that's a sign.
Brilliant.
So I've done a year and a half of professional racing at this point, and I would say, in my shoes, I would say, don't be Wally, change teams.
So make a change.
Make a change.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately that's interesting you worded it like that, actually, because that's actually a thing that I say to myself now. If something's not right, make a change.
Same. It's one of the biggest things that I give. Say if anyone was to say, change is the one thing I think we're all a bit scared of. Doesn't matter your age. When you're 19 to when you're 50.
I think it gets worse as you're older, doesn't it? So I've heard.
Well, yeah, I've heard that as well. Don't want to get into trouble, but yeah.
All that to look forward
to.
to.
Yeah, exactly. But if you're definitely making a change, I think is a good step forward. You learn.
And it's just having the confidence to do that and actually believe in yourself. Make the change and racing, business, whatever. Make the change. If it doesn't feel right, make the change.
I love that.
Because if you don't make the change, it's not going to change.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know exactly what I'm going to say.
What are you going to write?
Buy the Clio.
Buy the Clio.
Yeah. Don't hire anything or pay to buy it and do it off your own back.
Right.
If I'd have done that, I'd have probably got the touring cars. I should have listened to Mr. Warby, because Mr. Warby told me that.
Right.
But I thought I was getting sponsorship from these big companies, so it wasn't going to be an issue, because they'd put foot the bill lately. So I used that money to do separate testing and stuff like that to get used to the car. Where if I'd actually bought the car, I'd have had the car, and that'd have been it. I could have worked better with it.
So the message, buy the car.
Yeah.
That was, would that be underlying what you believed you could do? What was the significance of buying the car?
I think I would have got the sponsorship and done what I needed to do to get to touring cars.
Right.
If you understand, if that's
yeah.
Instead, I thought it was predestined anyway.
Right.
And it wasn't.
Right.
I thought I was going to get there, whatever happened, and it wasn't.
So this was a bit of taking control.
Yeah, and what I should have done was realise that anything could happen.
So the message is
buy the Clio.
Buy the Clio.
Yeah.
And I suppose whatever walk of life you're in, whatever you're trying, we all have that buy the Clio moment.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Just do that.
Yeah. Don't be frightened to have a go at anything. Do it. Just do it.
Fantastic.
I think the main thing would be never giving up, because there's definitely been times where it's felt impossible to progress anywhere, but also keeping your eyes open to any opportunity that could come about, because it's things that you could never imagine would turn into something else that have sort of led to this point today. So even instructing at Silverstone literally came from going down to Turn 1 simulators, which is a sim place, which I went just for a bit of fun.
Yeah.
And the landlord of that saw me on the sim, and he liked me, we got talking, and he said, do you want a job at Silverstone? He was a chief instructor at Silverstone and Lewis Hamilton's ex-boss. So from then, that led to a job in instructing. I've now got an instructor's license, talking to drivers, and ultimately led me to racing in Praga now. So definitely being open to any opportunities that come towards you, whether it seems insignificant or not, and fully exploring it.
Fantastic. That's brilliant.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I honestly think, and it's part of the reason that I'm sat here today, is that you should make decisions in your life on the basis that you're not here for very long, and that will mean different things for different people.
Yeah.
But I certainly buy into the what I consider to be reality. This is like a one-time shot.
Yeah.
So make the most of it. And I think as a younger man, I don't think I had that perspective. Certainly when you get to my age now, you're kind of beyond the halfway point. You become aware of your own kind of mortality. But I think that can be a good guiding principle when you're taking some of those early decisions in your life.
Yeah.
And there was a certain kind of cookie cutter that was my guiding light in the early days, because I did reasonably well at school. I wasn't I wasn't an Einstein, but I did okay academically, which kind of just led me onto this kind of next stage of what people do when they're successful at exams. And it's not right for everybody, and I think there's absolutely nothing wrong and actually to be celebrated by doing something which is slightly off left field. And I think even if you don't kind of act on those kind of considerations, I think just taking some time and space to think about those bigger decisions in this kind of wider context of your life.
Yeah. And it's interesting that an answer you gave earlier on really sort of sticks with me here. I think it was your dad saying, I think this train's about to leave, which is kind of plays to what you're saying there, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Need to get on.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you wait until the right time to do anything, you'll never do anything. Because in my experience at least, the landscape's never perfect.
Yeah.
There's always some uncertainty. There's always some risk out there that you can't quite get to the bottom of. But there's that moment, the kind of let's just get on with it is one thing that's going to make a difference.
Fantastic.
I'm not sure I'd go back and change anything. I wouldn't want to change anything massively, because I wouldn't go back and tell myself not to go to uni, because if I hadn't have gone in the first place, I wouldn't have met the guys that started Polychrome Studios. And I might I wouldn't tell myself don't carry on doing things other than film, because I did maths and further maths and German A levels and I enjoyed them. But I guess my only piece of advice is just like to myself, I've just been like, I probably don't slow down.
Don't slow down.
Don't slow down. Just keep. I can't say anything that bad has happened from just kept running in this direction, whatever direction this might be, at full pelt. So keep going. And if you can run a little faster, then we might have been here a little sooner.
Great stuff.
Slow down. I think I've always been. My dad's always said as well. I'm a man in a hurry. Like I've always wanted to do stuff and do it now and get that done, and I still am guilty of it. Although I know I should slow down, I still try and do everything all at once at 100 mile an hour, and I think life doesn't need to be that stressful.
Okay.
There's not much, to be honest. There's not much I would change. I think that I believe that you live your life in chapters, and this chapter, up until now has been incredible. We've talked about them. There have been a lot of difficult times, but there's also been some incredible times.
Yeah.
That I'm so fortunate and grateful that I've experienced. So I wouldn't change a lot. And I believe all of those difficult times build you into the person that you are today. Having said that, I think it's probably good advice for most people to slow down a bit. Yeah. It's a very fast-paced world we live in.
Brilliant. Well, I can't wait to see what this chapter holds.
Thank you. Me too.
I would probably just. Do you know what? I would probably write, if I'm being brutally honest, I'd probably write something that would annoy me, because I'm that kind of niggly little guy. I was like, what could I do? I could really annoy past Stu. That'd be a lol. I work on a high level of I sweat the small stuff a lot.
Right.
And I don't know why that is.
What do you mean by that?
I worry about everything all the time.
Right.
I think I do. I like to, because I give a good impression outwardly that I'm pretty relaxed and stuff. I'm not. Like, I was 45 minutes early for this, because the thought of being late for it would have, it just doesn't, I just can't. I just couldn't be. It would kill me. And that is replicated, like little things that don't mean anything. And I would like to, if I could go back, I'd like to figure out what happened, why I'm like that. It could just be genetics, you just don't know. It's just how I am, and that's a power or something, I don't know. But if I could go back and leave a little note, like just my granddad used to say that just add time. If you add time to anything, everything gets better. So you might feel like crap now, but if you add a bit of time, you'll actually feel a bit better. That might be tomorrow or the next day. And I didn't really, it only got to the point where, I'm now in my 30s. I'm like, oh, I'll just add a bit of time to that. But I'd really try and force that point to a younger Stu. Like, just add a bit of time. Everything will be fine. Just don't, just try and relax a little bit, because mainly nothing you're going to do, no matter how much stressing or worrying you do about it, it won't make a massive difference. And I've tried to change that about my present self.
Yeah.
And I do, as you get older, you do chill out a little bit. I'm definitely more chilled out now than I was 10 years ago. But yeah, I would really go back into just chill out, mate. I'm from the Mediterranean. We're not a wound up people. But so why am I so wound up? What happened there then? I don't know. Bad breeding. I don't know. It's just it's I'm chilled out until I'm not. But it's that would be the one thing. Just don't sweat the small stuff.
Brilliant. I like that.
From 2023, and I'd probably just go, shut up, mate. You don't know what you're talking about, old man. That would be that.
Who wrote that?
Yeah. Terrible handwriting.
What's for you won't pass you.
Oh, again.
What's for you won't pass you.
Oh, I love it.
And that's applicable for me in every aspect of life. I think, it's for me it's a very powerful thing, and I do think like when things don't go your way, you pick yourself back up. Something will be for you, and I think if you take that mentality going forward in life, I think it will help you get by, 100%.
I love that.
Firstly would be embrace the uncertainty. I think that's something I'm still very much learning now. I'm like to have everything organised and planned out, but particularly in this industry, things just happen but that's not a bad thing. Just go with it. And, for example, like I couldn't tell you I could tell you where I'd like to be, but I couldn't tell you right now where I'd be in the next 5 years. But I never could have predicted Anlista would happen. I could never have predicted, meeting you, stuff like that. So it's just embracing that and just going with it and kind of seeing what happens. There's nothing wrong with not knowing exactly what's going to come out of something. Just do your absolute best and be ambitious and see where it goes. And then the other bit would just be kind of what we mentioned. I don't want to be like a Nike advert. Is it Nike? It's like just do it. Just do it. But just do it. Like if you want to do something, you just have to push yourself, bite the bullet, do it. And I think that's something that just tell myself earlier on. Just make things. Just have a go. Yeah.
Have a go and embrace the uncertainty.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
What would I tell my younger
go on, Liv,
self?
what would
No pressure.
Oh God, you kind of hit the nail on my head there.
Yeah.
I mean, as I mentioned earlier, I have got a disability, and I think it was always hard growing up because I was in and out of hospital a lot. And it's okay to not have a clue what's happening. Like things are always around the corner.
Embrace the uncertainty.
Embrace the uncertainty. But like I'm not that much different from anyone else. I mean, I walk a bit weird, but that's about it. If you want to do something that you really want to do, try it. And maybe if you see someone called Meg Maguire on Facebook and you you see the back of her head on a Facebook profile picture, don't be scared by it. Just go, oh, it's Meg. Yeah. But embrace the uncertainty.
Anything's possible.
Anything's possible. It's all going to be fine. But don't worry about the future. Just kind of, I can embrace the now. I think.
The now, the moment.
I focus on the moment. I think.
Yeah. Okay, that's brilliant.
That is a really good question. I don't know what I would write, but in terms of what I would have done, I'm not sure I would have done anything much different, really. And I'm not trying to be some smart Alec here, or not. There's any offence to any Alex out there, but I'm not sure that I would have done anything that different in my career. But more so, I don't believe in if onlys.
Yeah,
I really don't. I just don't see the point if onlys. You can only go from where you are and move forward, and providing whatever you might have done, you learnt from, and can look yourself in the mirror and look yourself in the eye and say, okay. Right. And ultimately no one's got really hurt out of something.
Yeah. Life's
all about learning. Life's about lessons. So I'm not really sure that I would have been able to say or do that. And also the other factor within financial services in particular, there have been some quite radical changes over the 3+ decades of me. So certain things you couldn't have foreseen.
Yeah.
And whether that's based on how legislation have changed over the years through government policy on on all sorts of different things, or how our lives have changed, technology being a classic, as we just discussed.
Yeah.
I don't really know how you could have foreseen and done things differently of any significance. I think, if anything, I would say to people, just don't procrastinate. It's very easy for us to stick our heads in the sand and say, "Oh, I'll do it tomorrow," but sometimes you just can't afford to.
Just do it.
I think I'd write two things if I can, if I've got enough ink in the pen. The first thing I think I'd write would be, "Don't worry, it all turns out all right.
Brilliant.
It's all good." I'm very lucky. It's I've got a job I like.
Yeah.
I've got a great wife. I've got 2 fantastic kids. I shouldn't call them. They're adults now, but you don't say I've got 2 adults, do you? And I've enjoyed myself. I get to do lots of things that I want to do. I've still got lots of things I want to do. But yeah, I'd say don't worry. Don't be too worried about the future, because it turns out all right.
Brilliant.
It's good. The second thing I'd probably write is do minis and motorbikes earlier. Phone Adam up now and start doing it now while you're young. Because we could be sitting on minis and motorbikes now for 10 years with much bigger viewers, much bigger subscription base, having some income coming in from it, which would fund some of the builds we want to do, and be in a better position than probably what we are now. It's do it now. Don't put it off.
Do what lifts you up and lights you up. Do balance. There's a time for heart and there's a time for head.
That's brilliant.
That's a good question. So I think you had made a point in your question, really. It's about knowledge. If you had your knowledge that you had today. So for me, it would be to, when I was younger, to be more open and to collect more knowledge at that point, and bring more knowledge in, absorb more knowledge.
Right.
Be that knowledge sponge, because that's what allows you to solve problems later on.
Brilliant. I like that, being a knowledge sponge. I think that's great.
I think there'd be very few words, and probably 4 words, which would be "don't be a dick." I think if we just be nice, just don't be a dick.
Right.
I think that's it, really. Just be nice.
Yeah. Plenty of room for that.
Yeah. I think if we all took that 4 little words, world would be a great place to live.
Motorways would be more pleasant.
Motorways, but I think a lot of the world problems would be solved, and we need help. Everybody needs help, and that's something that I'd never realised. I knew about collaboration, obviously, within business, and I think that was a big turning point, was to understand collaboration. But that was very much I'm collaborating so I can get to be somewhere for me. What's in it for me?
Yeah.
I do stuff now that doesn't benefit me, but actually gives pleasure to other people.
Right.
And I think that's better.
Listen to my mum, because she knows everything.
Well,
like it.
And has that played out?
Oh yeah. I mean, she knew that I smoked.
Yeah.
She knew I went out with girls. She knew that I used to pinch my dad's cigars out of the corner of his cupboard, and have a swig of his whiskey, And you think, oh, they never know this, but she does. Your mum knows everything.
She knows everything.
She does.
I can agree with that as well, to be honest.
I don't think I would change much. I don't think I would change the path, but I think I would be saying that as you're going down that path, be a little bit more selfish about yourself and what you want.
Right.
Without doubt. Don't think of other people as much, because at the end of the day, you want to look after people that work for you, etc. But as I've learned, they can be very fickle, and I think that I should have been a bit more selfish for me and my family at that time.
And that's not, I suppose, selfish in that disregarding everyone else, but it's being selfish as to what's important to you.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Well, maybe putting, rather than the company and people in the company's feelings and things first, put my feelings and my wife's feelings first.
Yeah. Okay.
So the first thing I would like to tell younger Lara is
is thank you. Seems a bit odd, I know. But I don't think she knew what she was working towards. But she embarked on a journey that has led to a position where I can capitalise on those 3 bubbles. So engineering degrees aren't easy. I found it particularly hard because I didn't have a natural affinity with some of the more physical sciences, engineering sciences. And I put my heart and soul into that degree. And that was the first lesson of, I don't know why I did it, but I just knew I had to do that. And that was the gateway to that career at Rolls and the mission I went on. And that's led to me to a position where I get to race around in a circle, which costs a lot of money. Yeah. There's only way to be a millionaire in racing, and that's to start off as a billionaire.
Right. That's great. I like that. Yeah.
So I'm grateful. She didn't know what she was doing, but she knew that those kind of slightly institutionalized career goals of thou shalt finish uni, thou shalt get a good job, thou shalt get chartered.
Yeah.
I'm grateful that she did that.
Yeah.
Because it's got me to this position now where I can be more enlightened with what else you could do. So the foundation that she gave me, I never really thought of myself as a third person, but seeing as you've given me the privilege of a letter.
Yeah.
But also the other one is, why could you just not be kind to yourself? There's so much mental abuse that you give yourself. I wish that could stop. Just like, be kind.
And we do, don't we?
Yeah. You are your own worst critic, and in a way it's something to celebrate because it keeps you pushing harder and further and pushing that limit. And the third one is cold tires, Lara, respect them. Don't mess around.
Yeah. Speaks the voice of wisdom.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's the injury there.
So there's let's say a quarter missing off the end of my left little finger. So now I can only count to 9 3/4.
Right.
And I can, I get 10% off nail varnish. It's pretty good.
Right.
But I have to show you one other thing, which you have to kind of guess which character I'm portraying as a result of my injury. It's found in Scotland, often in a lake profile.
Oh, it's Nessie. Oh, my word. So if this, again, this won't make any sense, but Lara is showing it's her injured hand behind a sheet of paper, and it looks like the profile of Nessie, the Loch Ness Monster.
Exactly. So
fantastic.
There we are. Cold tires.
The immediate phrase that springs to mind for me is, don't worry, it's going to be fantastic. And so far it has been.
Brilliant.
I like science fiction and I believe in paradoxes. I think if I wrote the younger me a letter, I wouldn't be where I am now.
Oh, okay.
And so I wouldn't do it.
So would you leave them a blank letter?
No, I wouldn't. That would be even that could change time. You know.
Right.
Oh, yeah, the whole butterfly effect. No, if you invented time travel, what I really want to do is get a little capsule, a TARDIS say, sit in the solar system and watch the world be created from space junk. And watch the water arrive and watch life evolve and just see that probably on quite fast forward, given that it's 4 billion years. But that's what I do with time travel.
That's amazing. That is the most left of field answer I think I've ever had to that question. That's brilliant. So you have been listening to One Thought at a Time. So if you have been, thanks for listening.